This is our Wednesday night channeling, class number 111, since we started counting again. The title of our class tonight is Conscious Awareness. How conscious are you of what you're doing, thinking, and feeling? Did you stop to smell the roses along the way? When we allow ourselves to be an automatic pilot, we miss so much as we travel the road of illusion and confusion. There's much of life that is beautiful and soul-enhancing, even in your physical plane. You are missing because you are preoccupied with all the things you feel you have to do, with all the so-called problems you run back and forth through your thinking. There are times when you strive too hard, even when you're reaching for the kingdom of God. You do not enter the kingdom with strain and struggle. You float, as it were, in on a beautiful melody, or glide in on the wings of a butterfly. The kingdom of God is not concerned with might and fight. It is experienced in the still, quiet place in your soul, and God comes to you on the fragrance of a beautiful flower in a still voice that is filled with tender love. His presence is always with you, for he is the life force that animates your being. His love for you is much greater than your love for yourself at this point in consciousness, for he is the originator of love and life as it is in all the created and uncreated universe. As you learn to accept his presence, as you learn to accept his presence with you at all times, you can develop a rapport with his love vibration that can lift you above anything that is less than loving. As you learn to develop the conscious awareness of all life around you, you become aware of God's presence in all that is. Now you can turn the light. Good evening, my dear ones. This is Don coming to you from these realms of divine love and light. It is a beautiful evening on your plane where you're dwelling at this time, and God's love abounds greatly in your midst. I would have you to know that there are many, many in your room who are not in the physical, but your room is filled to overflowing. Those who have come to learn as you have come to learn, and those great beings of light that have come to lend their vibration to this connection with your plane and our plane. The beautiful being who wrote the words through Donald will speak with us this evening for a short time. He is a being of light that has come from a very far place to be with us at this time in your changes that you are making in this new age. And I will now relinquish to him. It is a great pleasure to be with you in this midst of your love and light and the joy that you exude from your presence here at this center. It is good to be with just a small group as well as a large group, for there are many on this side of the veil who are attending your service, and they are very grateful to be with you. They are very grateful to hear the words of love. They are grateful to be near your presence. For those who are reaching for greater understanding and enlightenment above and beyond your physical plane. Our topic tonight, conscious awareness, is something that is very important as you go through your days, to be much more consciously aware of how you are feeling, what you are thinking, what you are doing, and to be aware with peace, love, and joy in your heart. It is not always easy for you to do this on your plane because you have been conditioned and programmed in different ways. But many of you are learning to bring your consciousness up to a much higher level, for you have worked with this for years. And those who are not here tonight, many of them have learned to grow and to expand their awareness. As you move into a greater understanding of yourself and life as it truly is, it is easier for you to be more consciously aware of life as you go through your days and as you walk your earth plane. To be consciously aware is to not rush out to your car to drive to where you're going and do your shopping or whatever you're doing, and then rush back home to watch your favorite TV program. This is the treadmill that most are on your physical plane, and it is difficult to get off this treadmill. But let me ask you to consider thinking about, as you leave your house to do your shopping, go in a relaxed way. Do not be concerned about the traffic. Be at peace with yourself as you drive your car and as you shop in the store. Be at peace with all those around you. And do stop to smell the roses, for I see that they're blooming at this time of year and this place that you are in. And there's much, much beauty that you miss because you are preoccupied with other things. Yes, you do have to go about your duties, and you do have to work and support your body and all the things that this physical plane has. But the challenge, my dear ones, is to do it in a loving way, in a peaceful way, in a joyful way. Right now, this moment, how conscious are you of your body, and how conscious are you of what is being said? I feel that you are giving me your attention, yes. But as you leave this place, do not leave what you've heard behind. Take it with you and be aware, much more aware of life. I tell you, if you can develop the 5 senses that you use to a much greater extent, then you can tune in and develop other senses that will bring you so much more of joy and beauty and the enhancement of life. There is so much to experience in life, and you on your plane only experience about 2% of the total of life, if that much. But you do have a great deal of beauty on your plane. You can be at peace within yourself. For my dear ones, you do not live on this planet Earth. You do not live in the Phoenix area or any other area. You do not live in your physical body. You live in your consciousness, as you have been told many times. And it is in your consciousness is where your house is. And this house that you live in is within you. Your thoughts, your feelings, your attitudes, your moods, these are the things that make the difference. And make no mistake, my dear one, you do choose every thought that you think, even if it's an unconscious thought. You have set up these patterns in the past, and you choose to think, I feel good today, or I don't feel so good. I feel happy, or I feel sad. It is up to you, and you alone, for no one else can think your thoughts for you. No one else can feel your feelings. You and God travel this path alone. It appears that you are involved with other people, but let me explain to you about this. For the most part, you are involved with your thoughts about them, and you're relating back and forth is just that, your thoughts about them, your thoughts about what they say, your feelings about how they look or the way they are acting. And that is inside of you. And if I can get you to understand this and to see this and to realize that you choose how you think, how you feel, and it does not matter what another does, but it matters so much how you handle it in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your consciousness. For that is where you live. And if you allow someone to make you angry, or if you allow someone to upset you, then you're giving away your power to them. And this is incorrect. This is not the best way to do. You choose to be happy or to be sad with everyone you meet. And you can learn, my dear ones, to choose to be loving when you really understand that God is everywhere present, that His presence is in everyone that you meet. His presence is in the trees and the grass and the birds, even the furniture that you sit upon. All has life force, or it would not exist. Many do not think about this because they are not used to thinking about themselves or considering life as it is. They are just here and going through their patterns and their routines and hoping that they can pay the mortgage on the house and living from payday to payday. You are not like this, who are in this room. You have gone beyond this. But it is for the masses that they do. They are on this treadmill, and there are many cars racing down the street, going around in circles, from place to place. I think you understand what I am trying to say, and the main message is to be consciously aware at the moment and live in the present moment. Because, my dear ones, this is all that you have, is the present. Yesterday is gone. You cannot call it back. And tomorrow never comes, because when it does, it's today. You are your own keeper, because God has given you free will. God animates your being and gives you life force unconditionally, and you can do with it as you will. And some you hear about on the news take a gun and kill other people, or do other things that are drastic with this life force that God has given them. But when you understand the real truth that there is no death, and that this plane that you live upon is a play upon a stage, it is not real in the sense of eternity. It is illusion. And when I say this, it is difficult for you to identify with this, because this is 90% or more of what you deal with is this physical plane and your five senses that tell you that this is a chair that you're sitting upon, or this is a car that I'm driving. Yes, it is. But will these things be here 200 or 300 years from now? You see, the things that are not eternal are here today and gone tomorrow. And many of the concepts and the thoughts that you have, the fear thoughts, are illusion, because in true reality you have nothing to fear. For God is always with you, and you are always in God's hands. Yes, you have many experiences, and you go through many experiences, but do not judge them. Try to understand that the concept of duality is illusion. In other words, good and evil is a concept of duality. Time and space, these things really do not exist, except as you have labeled them. And so, as you go through your life, you are programmed to think of this as good and that as evil, and other people might have the reverse thought. And there is really no time or space, and it will take a lot of meditation, a lot of understanding, and tuning in to that higher part of you to overcome these concepts of duality. For it is these concepts of duality that hold you down to these lower dimensions and keep you from climbing higher and being free of these lower dimensions, so that you can soar to greater heights. My dear ones, the dimensions on the levels of love and light are so beautiful and so bright and so wonderful. Your mind could not even begin to imagine at this moment, because you have shut off your memory. You have been there, and you have existed on all dimensions. But when you come into the physical, you come to grow, to understand life a little better. And as you shut off your memory of knowing the real truth, this puts you in a place where you have a lot of experiences. Some people call them trouble and problems. Your teacher calls them opportunities. And they are opportunities when you think of them as such. But when you think of them as good or bad, then you're in the concept of duality again, and this is controlling your thoughts. And it makes you sad, it makes you depressed, but when you can understand then you can be happy and at peace, and you can make contact with the Creator of all life that dwells within you. And make no mistake, my dear ones, He does dwell within you, for He is the life force that you are. You can never be separate from God, and you're never separate from anyone else in the whole universe. It appears that you are from your point of view, but you see you're all fed from the same life force that you call God. Billions and billions of planets are inhabited with entities. Some look a little like you, some have different forms. And there are many, many dimensions that are inhabited by entities. Think of what a vast, vast universe that you live in. And in the last 100 years, think how much progress you have made in a technological way on your planet. Your planet has become very small because of communication, instant communication on the other side of the world, and transportation that takes you quickly to where you want to go. Not many years ago, it would take you maybe a week to go from here to Tucson. Now you can go in 2 hours. So you see, that world has come to an end, and this world exists now. Many talk about the end of the world, but the end of the world has come and gone many times in your lifetime. And as you think of it in the correct way, you can learn to manipulate the life force and time, as you think of it, to your advantage. You can learn to be whatever you really want to be when you understand that you are made in the image and likeness of God, that you are His child. And my dear ones, what do children grow up to be? They grow up to be like their parents. So in true reality, not even knowing it consciously, you are God's. And as you move higher in consciousness from where you are on this plane, you come closer and closer to understanding your Godhood and taking charge of your life, for you do create your own reality. You create your life as it is, for everything that happens to you, you have created for yourself. This may be difficult to understand because it appears that so many other people are involved. Yes, they are involved, but they are involved in their consciousness, and you are involved in your consciousness. And how you react to a certain experience or handle it makes a big difference as to how your future will be. When you react in a very fearful and negative way, then you create blocks that keep you from seeing clearly, that keep you from understanding life. But when you realize that you have done this, you have placed yourself in this position, and you have done it for a definite reason, and that reason is soul's growth. No matter what the experience, you can take it and bend it to a plus in your growth, if you want to. But you can be unhappy about it, and sad and poor me attitude, and allow yourself to drop in consciousness to a very low level and wallow in your sorrow for a while. Remember, my dear ones, you in the physical body are not the only ones that I'm talking to, for there are many, many others that are with you tonight. And so do not take everything that I say personally, for all those who are listening from this side of the veil may not be as far along in their growth as some of you, and maybe they did not have the opportunity to have this kind of experience when they were in the physical. So they gather when there is a meeting like this, and a teacher from the realms of love and light comes to speak and to try to communicate with you on your level. It is difficult sometimes because your language is very limiting. It is the largest block in real communication on your level. And very soon, and when I say this, I'm thinking of a few hundred years, you will do away with language and just use thought transference. Then you can communicate so much more. You can think a thought to someone with a complete picture, a knowing, an understanding, a feeling, that they will receive in 3 seconds that would take you 3 hours to tell in words. This would be raising your consciousness, would it not? And it would be speeding you along to a much greater life. It is really a lack of communication on your planet that causes your wars. The fear within each individual that they express when they try to communicate, and different countries trying to communicate with each other, different religions, and everyone holds to their own view, and they do not give concern to what others' viewpoint might be. There will come a day when your planet will be one world. All the borders will go down, and there will be no countries. There will be one world with a very small government, for the vibrations on your planet are raising every day. This is proven if you just look at the progress that you've made in the last 100 years in a technological way. Now, if you can grow spiritually and keep up the spiritual growth with the technology growth, then you can have a balance. This has happened many, many times on your planet for millions of years, that you have raised a very high culture many times, civilizations much, much higher than you are now, much higher than Atlantis or Lemuria, and have used the power that you have learned in the wrong way, and it has destroyed the whole civilization and all the records with it, and you had to start all over again. It is hoped that this will not happen this time in this golden age. It is hoped that you will use the understanding and enlightenment that is given to you. You would be amazed if you knew how many very high spiritual beings have come to your area around your planet to see the changes that are going about and will come about in the next 2,000 years. It is not just your planet, but it is your galaxy and the whole universe that is changing. But your particular planet is a very special time for it will grow, and it's the most opportune time to be in the physical than any other time in the history of your planet, since your planet was formed. For it will be lifted up to a self-illuminating sun or star instead of the dark reflecting planet that it has been. And if you can lift your consciousness by using divine love instead of fear and anger and all the negatives, then you can go with the planet. You can raise your consciousness with the planet's consciousness. The planet is an entity just as you are, and its time has come to be Christed, you might say, and to be that shining star that will be seen from afar. At this time, and in the past, if you were on another planet somewhere else, you would not be able to see your planet as you see the stars in your heavens at night. All of those stars are suns, as your sun is, and your planet has yet to achieve that high of consciousness, but it is on its way, and it will achieve it in this golden age that is 2,100 and some odd years. These are things that some of you know, but I wanted to tell you the importance, the very great importance of being consciously aware of what you're doing, what you are thinking, how you are feeling. Because, my dear ones, this is how you grow, is to take conscious control of your mind, your emotions, your body, your feelings, your moods, and your attitudes all come under the heading of thought. And as you learn to take the positive way, to take the way of love and light and beauty and joy in your every thought, word, and deed, then you are lifted above this physical plane of illusion and confusion. You're still in the physical, yes, and you go about your job or whatever you're doing, but you have ascended in a sense. Your master teacher, when he was here, he told the disciples that wanted to go with him as he was about to leave this plane and go back to the higher dimensions. He told them, no, I want you to be in the world, but not of it. And my dear ones, you can attain this. You can be in the world, but not of it. You can go through your play, whatever role that you're playing. Shakespeare was correct when he said this is a stage, and we're the actors and actresses. And whatever role that you are playing, you go ahead and play your role, but you do it with love. And your every thought, word, and deed is done with love. As you learn to do this, then you are the master. You have dominion over this plane, even as Jesus had dominion over this plane. For he said that ye shall do the things that I do, and even greater. And his words were true. There will come a time, it may be several lifetimes from now, or whatever, but there will come a time when you will be able to do all the things that your master teacher did when he was in the physical. All the things and even more. This may seem like too much to you because maybe you haven't been considering things like this. But nevertheless, it is true. In our classes, we stop for a short time and give you a chance to ask questions, if you will. Do not hesitate, and feel free to be yourself and ask questions if you have questions or would like. We do not answer personal questions, but things of the spiritual nature, things along the lines of the class tonight, or maybe something that you have been wondering about for years. This is your opportunity to ask. Are there questions that you would ask?
Not to let you quiet down on it, and you go through this life that you go through every day, and it's so hard to not believe that all this disease and war and fighting and hate is not, real, not part of your real world, not the reality that's going to life, but you get caught up in it, and hey.
Yes. Yes, it does. And this is why it is good to have something that you do relative to what you're doing tonight. A weekly or bi-monthly something that you go to wherever it is to remind yourself of the truth. For it is difficult to raise your thoughts above the race thought. The race thought means the average thought of mankind on your plane. For very few people have any understanding at all of what I have spoken of tonight. And they consider that this is it, and when they're dead, they're dead, dead, dead. But it is not true. There is no such thing as death. And many of them are very surprised when they wake up on these dimensions in another body, but not a physical body, but they are still alive. And sometimes they do not realize that they have made a change, and it is very confusing for them. And for a little while, they're on the plains of gray and darkness for a little while until they can understand. And it is the same with you. You are involved in the world, and it is difficult for you to accept that this is illusion, to accept that this is less than 2% of life. It is the same situation that those who graduate from this plane and find themselves still alive, they are confused. And when you can have a daily regime of practice, no matter what it is, practicing meditation, going within to talk with your Heavenly Father, hypnosis, as you have been doing, whatever it is, if it is daily, then you keep your spirits high and you keep yourself high because you keep reminded. And when you come to a group like this, it doesn't have to be this place, but something that you relate to in a positive and loving way, and keep yourself inspired, because the world will not inspire you. The world will drag you down. And if you listen to the news every day, there's very little good news. And people on your plane do not even respond to good news. They want to hear all the bad news. And if there was no bad news, people would not tune in to that news broadcast. You see, that's the way that your plane is set up. But remember that it is just a play on a stage, that it is not really real in the sense of eternity. And there is no death. When you consider this, when you can accept that there is no death, then it doesn't matter if you have wars and kill hundreds of thousands of people. They are not dead. They may be lost on the plains of darkness for a little while, but they will soon overcome that and rise up into a greater understanding. But the answer to your question, which was not quite a question, is to be consistent with the practice of techniques and things that you know how to do, but maybe you have not been consistent with them. Is this correct? Yes. Are there other questions this evening? Let us change the rule just a little bit tonight, and I have gotten permission from your doorkeeper, Don, to do this and let the other audience who is not in the physical body ask questions. And the predominant question from their side is, how can they learn when they come back and incarnate again into a physical body? How can they have this understanding that has been given to you and the group that comes to these classes? And the answer is that as you prepare in between incarnations, you can grow not as fast as you do in the physical, because you do not, everything is too easy on the planes of love and light. But if you do prepare, and when you come in, you choose your parents, the time of history that you come in, and you have a general outline for a plan. And if you will listen to your heart as you find yourself in a physical body as a child, a small child, 2 or 3 years old, when you become that age, listen to your heart and work out something with your higher self, a signal that will let you know. Children of that age are open because they have just come from these realms, and sometimes they have invisible playmates, as you may have heard, and they are real. They are not just their imagination, for there are many children who graduate from your plane as children, and there's a special place for them here, and people who care for them and know how to work with children with God's love, but they do come and play with the children on your planet, so that when they reincarnate again, they will have some idea of what it is like. And at a young age, if you are not discouraged about your invisible playmates or about the understandings that come to you, you can grow up because the vibrations are much higher on this planet now. And those who incarnate now, a large part of them, are more advanced souls than the ones who have come before. There are still those of darker nature who are incarnating, but soon the vibrations will be too high on your plane and your planet for them to incarnate, and they will have to go to another planet that has been comparable to what your planet has been in the past. But as you grow to the age of 2 or 3, before you leave the realms that are not physical and you incarnate, make an agreement with that part of you that is always one with God and has some signal to know who you truly are. And do not let anyone dissuade you from this. And sometimes it is better not to speak of it to grown-ups or to those who do not understand, but keep this within your heart and keep this contact alive with those who are on what you would call in the invisible realm and the physical, and keep the contact alive with the God within you. This is the answer to the question from this side of the veil. Are there questions here in the physical? Any other questions? Someone is considering asking a question, but they're not quite sure. I will give you a few more seconds. It has been a great privilege for me to come and speak with you. This is my first time to speak through this channel, but I have done this work for some time in other places with other channels, and it is always a great joy, and I would have you to consider the things that have been said tonight. I would have you, for your own sake, to raise your consciousness to a higher level of beauty and joy and light, and allow yourself to make contact with that God that dwells within you. For truly, my dear ones, He is always there, or you would not exist. God bless you, and good evening.